Algebra I Honors, Lesson 6.1 and 6.2, Solving Inequalities by Addition, Subtracting, Multiplying, and Dividing. So, how's an inequality and a solution different than an equation? Well, to solve an equation, we get a single, what we'll call discrete, meaning an individual, answer. X equals 1. Inequality will be a range. X is greater than 1. Negative 2 is less than X is less than 3. Things like that. Takes some getting used to, but once you get past that, this is really a nice unit in that you're just basically reviewing what you've already done, how to solve things with one small hitch. We'll go over that when we get there. So, what does this mean? This means less than. X is less than 2. This means greater than. X is greater than negative 3. This means less than or equal. And the difference between less than or equal or less than is you can't actually use 2. So it's a really bizarre concept. Well, can I use 1.9? Yes. Can I use 1.999? Yes. Can I use 1.999? Yes. So it just takes some getting used to. It's not a big deal. Just be aware. And this is greater than or equal to. So best way to show this really is a number line, and it's the thing I fall back to whenever I get lost on a problem. There's more than one answer, so there's more than one way to show it. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the number line. So let's do x is greater than 2, and then in blue I'll do x is less than or equal to negative 1. That way we can show them both on the same number line. So greater than 2, we go out here and we find 2. And this freaks people out. They're like, well, wasn't 2 already there? Like, no, we get to pick where we want it. And then I just shade everything to the right. And I like my squiggle. Some people like this. They're both acceptable. You could do one or the other. You don't have to do them both. And less than or equal to negative 1 is everything exactly the same. Negative 1, except we fill in the dot. So open or close dot is a guaranteed way for a teacher to steal points from you. But they're not trying to be jerks. It's important. You have to understand the difference. So how about with interval notation? So open dot for interval notation is a curvy. Closed dot for interval notation is a bracket. It's just the way it's done. There's no rhyme or reason. So x is greater than 2 will be 2, and then it goes greater forever out to infinity. Infinity always, boy, my notes are getting messy, has a curved parentheses next to it. Why? It just does. You can never get to infinity. I think that's the reasoning, but I always thought it should have a bracket, but I was wrong. Now, x is less than negative 1, so I put my negative 1 here and say including negative 1, and it goes to negative infinity. If that's confusing, just remember your number line and how that relates to all this stuff. That's how I do it. A lot of people, I can't figure this out. Well, can you do it with the number line? They're like, yeah, sure. Then do it with a number line and go from there. So the solutions look different. The steps to achieving solving inequality are similar. I mean, there's really not a lot going on here. X is less than or equal to 13. 13, and this vertical line is just to show 13. Fill in the dot, and I'll mix it up on each one here. There is two other ways technically, but one other way you should know. This is a good solution. I mean, interval notation says that we should do less than or equal to 13. 13 comma negative infinity. I like the way I wrote that. Negative infinity to 13. That's fine, either way. X is less than negative 3. You might say, well, shouldn't you put it down here on the left? No, who cares? Put it wherever we want. It's our number line. We can do whatever we want with it. X is, interval notation, negative infinity to negative 3, parentheses, greater than negative 4. Negative 4 to infinity, greater than or equal to 7. 7 to infinity. Before we practice, which is one last concept we must cover, and if you're multiplying or dividing, this is the one little extra piece I was talking about. You got to flip the sign. Multiplying or dividing only by a negative. So I get negative 4x minus 1 is less than 3. Plus 3 plus 3. Negative 4x is less than 4. Divide by negative 4. Flip the sign. X is greater than negative 1. A lot of people say, well, why? And I say I can solve this different ways. I could add 4x to both sides and it would end up on the other side. So that's why. Go ahead and solve it another way if you want. When you get to negative 4x is less than 3, add 4x, add 4x, subtract 3, subtract 3. You get, actually I meant to make that a 1, a 4. We already got our 4 there. We're going from the second step. And we would say 4x negative 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, and we are at, I don't like that down here, it's too close to the margin. So we end up with, after we divide by 4, x greater than negative 1. These two are equivalent. Read the x first, and from right to left, it's x is greater than negative 1. It's tricky. It takes some practice. So, get going on these practice problems and check your work. This is a great moment to ask your teacher lots and lots of questions. Good luck and happy math.